ladies and gentlemen, we are set for a robust panel discussion. My panelists and our moderator are standing by. This is a two-part conversation. The first part of the conversation really takes on the invitation from the minister and looks at the role of international partners in the acceleration of energy transformation on the continent. Moderating this panel discussion is Andrew Herkovitz. He is the CEO of Mission 300 Accelerator at the Rockefeller Catalytic Capital. Let's give Andrew a round of applause as he makes his way up. And joining Andrew on stage, please let me welcome Senator Claudio Barbaro, the Vice Minister for the Environment and Energy Security from Italy. Welcome, sir. Mr. Jin Luquan, the President and Chair of the Board of Directors at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Dr. Muhammad Al-Jasser, the President of the Islamic Development Bank. Let's give Doctor a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Mr. Rémi Roux, the CEO of the French Development Agency. Thank you very much, Mr. Roux. Let's give him a round of applause. And we close off this panel with Dr. Mahmoud Kene, the Regional Director and Regional and Special Representative of the President at the OPEC Fund. Let's give Mr. Kene a big round of applause. Andrew, I hand over the floor to you at this point.
Thanks so much, everyone. Good afternoon. I would like to say this is the most important panel of the day, and with all due respect to President Adesina, who's here, I think he will get this because we talked about this morning the amount of money, and especially concessional money, that's going to be needed to make sure that we succeed on Mission 300. We heard President Bonga say the World Bank is bringing $30 to $40 billion in so much of our AIIB money, but this is a whole different group of people. And for Mission 300 to succeed, it requires a big tent. It can't just be philanthropy and the World Bank and African Development Bank, but it requires all the people who are going to be on this stage over this panel. So I'm really excited to moderate this session. I'm Andy Herskowitz. I'm the CEO of the Mission 300 Accelerator, which is housed within the Rockefeller Foundation through Rockefeller or RF Catalytic Capital. And my role is basically to help nudge everybody and make sure that we're doing what we need to do to be able to deliver, but we're doing more than that. The Rockefeller Foundation through RF Catalytic Capital already working with the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, we've already delivered on 23 technical assistance projects that are going to help jumpstart World Bank and African Development Bank projects, specific projects that are going to help us reach that $130 million, the 130 projects that help us reach our 300 million person goal. So we've got the pipeline. Mission 300 is different than anything else that's ever been done, because as we heard this morning, we're bringing in philanthropic capital and other capital from development partners to help de-risk projects to drive that private sector investment. There's going to be a few framing questions that I'd just like to share with everyone that our panelists are going to try to address, and then we have some specific questions for them. But specifically, the general gist of this is that given the scale and urgency of Mission 300's objectives, how are we as organizations positioning ourselves to support Mission 300 and specifically the energy compacts? Are there strategies or approaches that we're prioritizing that could align with or enhance its impact? And what do we see as the single most critical actions that stakeholders must prioritize today to ensure that Mission 300 achieves its objectives by 2030? And more importantly, who else should be invited to join this effort? So I'm going to start right away with Rémi Roux from AFD. And so, Rémi, I'll turn to you and ask you, AFD is one of the most important financiers of energy infrastructure in Africa. How is AFD going to be contributing to help make Mission 300 succeed?
Merci, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to say a few words in French, and then I can switch to English. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Tanzanian authorities for their welcome, and my friend Akin from the AFDB, Jay from GIAP, and all the colleagues.
Which is so important. Full support, of course, from our side. This is a no-brainer, access to energy. And of course, with this holistic approach, you are proposing SDG 7 and beyond, of course, as the entry point in the discussion. AFD, as you said it, Andrew, it's about 2 billion euro investments in the energy sector each year. Access is very strategic for us. It's about 150 million euro investment and a portfolio of 2 billion on our balance sheet that is implementing this day. I want also to remind all of you what we did in Paris about clean cooking under the leadership of Fatih Birol. In this perspective, AFD committed for 100 million euro on clean cooking, especially, which is part of the equation. My own President Macron, he really supports the Mission 300. He met with Raj and the Rockefeller Foundation on Friday, and so I think he will commit himself tomorrow for the high-level session. So only the teasing part on my side, just to say what we really want to be a key partner with significant figures of Mission 300, and it will be probably about a 50% increase from what we are already doing by 2030. So maybe a bit too early, Akin, but just don't doubt. And it's of course a commitment by AFD Group. So it's the public side, AFD, but it's also the private side through our subsidiary called Proparco. And it's also the capacity building, technical assistance, vocational training that our second subsidiary called Expertise France can also provide in packages that would include it all, bridging public and private, because we know the solution for access will be private probably, but will still have a significant on-grid, significant public component. Of course, I want to thank the European Union because many of the projects we are financing, and Italy and Germany are in the Team Europe scheme, and also embarking EU resources that are so precious for the concessional part of this work. Last, I like the idea of national compacts. I connect that with the country platforms work that is ongoing. Also with it's not the same countries, but with the JETP initiatives, especially in South Africa. We are part of it because we know in the end it rests on the country. It rests on the demand side, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution, of course. We know we're working in Ivory Coast and Tanzania on extending the grid, on-grid solutions. We are working in DRC, in the Cabinda region, about innovative off-grid solutions. So that will be the combination of all these projects that will make a difference. Of course, following, and that's also, the minister just said it, what we are working with the government of Tanzania, with the best possible trajectories, transition trajectories to reach our common goals. Thank you.
Thank you. So everybody knows I'm actually keeping score up here of the types of commitments that we're going to get from everyone. I know that Remy maybe is not able to announce a specific number today, but we're going to be watching closely over the next day to see what the contribution is, and I think it's going to be a big one, and we're all going to be very happy with that. I'm going to turn to Mr. Jin right now. We consistently hear calls for re-engineering of the global financial architecture. In fact, I'm one of the people who screams really loudly about this all the time. But basically to be a better fit for purpose for the needs of developing countries. Lower interest rates, local currency financing, scaled blended financing. Mission 300 is responding to the call by bringing together a broad range of public and private development actors. In fact, one of the things that the Rockefeller Foundation and RFCC is doing is we're going to be supporting sustainable energy for all and helping them pursue some local currency financing solutions starting in Nigeria and then working out elsewhere. What do you see AIIB's role in this construct, and what can we expect from the bank in terms of working with others and delivery over the next 1 to 3 years?
Thank you very much. Our Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, certainly is less well known in this part of the world than the World Bank Group, African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank. But we actually are now having almost half of the sub-Saharan African countries which are our members, from 57 founding members all the way to 110. And a couple of sub-Saharan African countries are now on their way to be members. So Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, is very much relevant to us, or we are very much relevant to you. We are fully supportive of Mission 300. When you look at the data, for instance, over the last 2 decades, out of the $2.8 billion of renewable energy investment, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, only receives 2%. And 300 million people without access to electricity is not to be tolerated. This must be changed. So we are working very much, we are very much committed to be working with other multilateral development banks. We work as a system, MDBs work as a system. My friend President Alcinia, we've been consulting each other for many times, and I also talked to Ajay Bangar, the World Bank's head, and all the others, that we should really work together to mobilize resources. $90 billion is not a small number. And all of the financial resources put together from all these MDBs, DFIs are certainly not enough. So I think it's very interesting, very important for us to mobilize the private sector and philanthropists and all of those who are interested, who are committed to improving the livelihood of the African people. So how much we can do? We are already having operations in Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, and we have a big pipeline in some of these countries. We intend to do projects in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Senegal, Benin. We are ready. We are ready. And here I'd like to pledge $1 billion to $1.5 billion to support a mission.
I just added it to the scorecard here. So
yeah, you know, I think I feel still very sorry. Only $1 billion or $1.5 billion, is this enough? I can tell you it's certainly not enough. But this is not the limit. We will continue to allocate resources. So I want to focus these resources for Africa to Mission 300. Of course, we can still do something else. One point I have highlighted again and again to other members, regional members, European members, why we should support Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. Because this is the future in the 21st century. Africa is going to be the growth engine. Africa is going to move on the curve of industrialization. And Africa would be the model state, model continent in this world, that you can strike a proper balance between improve the livelihood of the people and protect the wildlife. This is what we should do. And also, I told my colleagues, you know, in the management team and in the bank and others, and also I told the regional members, when we put $1 in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, does not mean sub-Saharan Africa is $1 richer, Asia is $1 poorer. That's wrong. This is a zero-sum game. It's not right. When we put $1 in sub-Saharan Africa, we improve the connectivity with Asia and others, and then we work together to make the cake bigger and bigger and bigger.